Life's a ride, so let's make it count. Cherish every moment, that's what it's about. Tune in together, we're building our groove. Every beat, every laugh, we're ready to move. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave the troubles behind. This podcast is gold, the treasure you'll find. With every word, we'll light up your day. Join the conversation, let's laugh all the way. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave your troubles behind. This podcast is gold, a treasure you'll find. Life's a ride.
Hello, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. How are you all? Welcome back to the cafe. I hope you're all having a great day, a great start to your day, I should say. And I appreciate you joining me today. 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I forgot to set something. All right, we should be good. All right. And my computer's doing weird things again. Come on in, grab a seat, grab a chair, grab your cup of joe or whatever you're drinking and join us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are, whoever you, it's good for you. It's great to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm by myself, yes. Mama Bear has the busyness again. Appointments, but she misses everyone, so she will be here eventually. One of these days, we'll get her back. Welcome, all of you. Who do we have? We got 17 peeps in the house already. It looks like Sassy Cassie. Miss Taylor, otherwise known as Tater, good to see you. Josie West, welcome, dear. Good to see you. Lisa J and all my blue crew in the house. Thank you guys for joining us today. I appreciate you so much. You all know couldn't do without you. Dagburn, Johnny Gobbles, Dead Floozy Mama's in the house. Good to see you. Good to have you back. Let me see. Show. Tomboy Charm, welcome. Good to see you. Mark Schum is in the house, and it is his birthday. Y'all know what that means. Happy birthday, brother. Good to have you here. I hope you are having a great day because you deserve it. Everybody's birthday is important here. Miss Paula's in the house. Good to see you. Tippy Hadron Colliter, welcome back to you. Great to see you. Great to have you here. Paula Fitzhenry, always an honor to see you, Miss Paula. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your positivity. Sally Shepherdson, great to see you. Sergeant Matt's in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you today. Great to have you here. Hope you're doing well and treating your mom the right way. Walt Harris, good to see you. Irene Clobber, welcome back to you. Great to see you in the house. And Stitches, welcome back as well. Great to see you all so very much. Miss Sherry, welcome back. Eddie's in the house. What's going on, Mr. Eddie? Good to see you, brother. One Maiden Nut, great to have you here. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat, please, and thank you. Appreciate you so very much. We got 22 peeps in the house. All right. Make sure to hit that like button on the way through the door. Please and thank you. Let me see here. Let me see. All right, y'all, get comfortable. Come on in. First and foremost, because we know what we think about birthdays in here. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to celebrate Mark's birthday real quick here and make sure that Everybody knows. So please make sure to tell him a happy birthday, please, and thank you. All right. Oh, come on. All right. I got a couple things for you, bud. Hopefully it makes your day better. Let's start with this here. All right. One moment. Hang on.
Oh, hey Mark, how you doing? Al here. Listen, I know you're super busy. You got a lot going on. I really hate to bother you, but well, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, and I'm afraid it just can't wait any longer. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mark. Happy birthday to you. Hey, it's your birthday. Gotta be your birthday. You know what I was told? You're really freaking old. It's your birthday. Oh, yeah. It's my birthday. Hey. Yeah. Woo.
There you go, bro. There you go. There you go. All right, my friend. And just like with everybody else, what's up, Mikey? Maki. Jesse's in the house. Hang on. There's your cake, sir. Enjoy. And again, like I said, I hope you have a great day and a great year. 53, you said, my friend. Congrats. Congrats on making it there. I hope you have an amazing year. Of course, like I said, building up to when we can do this again next year. An amazing day today. And everybody in here, please, if you will, make sure you wish Mark a happy birthday. I got you, Walt. You know, just gotta let me know. Give me a reminder. Somebody will. Oh yeah, we're gonna be getting into that this afternoon too, you guys. Welcome everybody. Hey, Poppy. Good to see you, bro. Mittens for Kittens, welcome back. Good to see you. Make a wish, my friend, and blow it out. Oh, you in there, Jesse? Yeah, that one dude was really, really pissing me off. Had no idea who I was. And he was making no sense whatsoever. So, all right, there you go, bud. There's your cake. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope today it makes your day a little bit better. And I hope you have an amazing day, my friend. I appreciate you being here. I really do. Oh, yeah, we got into a deep conversation towards the end. It was interesting. I loved it. Um, Pretty intellectual. We started talking about the universe and all sorts of fun stuff. But for those of you that were there last night, I appreciate it. But so there was some guy in there that tried to say I was a bully, you guys. He called me a bully because and it wasn't even me, it was Sarge that went off on him for what he was saying. And he was putting out ridiculous information, starting to, and Sarge said that's what's wrong with the case. That's why these things happen. I can't think of his name. It started with a D, I think. Somebody I'd never seen before. He was actually a moderator for Sarge, and Sarge bounced him because he just got ridiculous with it. And I went to say something. I was actually kind of trying to be nice and stick up for the guy a little bit. And he snapped off at me. That's the one thing you don't do, because I'm nice to everybody until I'm not. And if you come at me a certain type of way, I'm going to come back at you. And I was like, you know what, dude? Okay. You don't know me. Don't talk to me that way. You know, I was being nice. You don't get to talk down to me that way. And so, well, that was really a funny comment for you to make, sir. But anyway, Delby was his name, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, he just got real ignorant and just kept going on in the chat saying nobody under that. He said the Idaho 4, or how did he put it? Hey, Don. Excuse me. He said the victims had nothing to do with the case, and then said Brian Koberger had nothing to do with the case. Something stupid like that. He was trying to say that when the four people we see in the one Banfield video running past the vehicle in the back were carrying a piece of drywall from the bedroom. And Sarge said, we both said, no, the FBI cut that out of the wall to use to test it for, fluids or something. He was like, oh, but he was saying that they took off with a piece of the wall. Like, what? Yeah, 100%, Eddie. And then during the chat, he was like, be careful, Dago. I don't like bullies. And I'm like, you're calling me a bully? Of all people, you're calling me a bully. Okay. I said, dude, I'm probably the nicest person you'll meet out here. So that was funny, but I wasn't bullying at all. Anyway, he's just a troll, in my opinion. He just, once again, rah, 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 you know what I mean? And Sarge got pissed and just bounced him eventually. Which Sarge don't bounce anybody. That's the funny thing. I'm definitely not a bully by any means. I can't stand bullies. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, Hunter. And you know what, Jesse? It almost kind of sounded like him at first when he came on panel in a higher pitched voice. And I was like, geez, I wonder if that was Jeff's brother. You know what I mean? But the guy was just like Jeff. He wanted to argue about something that made no sense, and he was putting out stuff. And the way Sarge was trying to explain it was that, when you make these statements, that's where the problems come in with this case. And that's what's happened to it by making stupid statements or putting out information that has no bearing on the case or anything to do with it. Okay. And then he starts talking about Scott Green and the University of Phoenix purchase, and it has nothing to do with the victims and blah, 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 blah. Explain yourself then, but he wouldn't do it. And finally, Sarge just said bye. Welcome, it's Wisdom. Wonderful to see you. Josie West. Thank you, Josie. I appreciate it. I hope nobody ever thinks I am, because I definitely don't ever. I don't like bullies. I stand up against bullies. I hate bullies. So I think he was just mad because he looked stupid and, he was shut down. But you don't get to come talk to me that way when you don't even know me. I will be the nicest person to you and I will have your back until I don't. And it takes a lot to get me to that point. So don't come at me that way. So we're going to run our morning show and go through some new current events and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's what a couple people were saying. It was crazy, Jesse. That's for damn sure. I didn't know you was in there, though. I'm glad you were. Does anybody that was watching it, did any of you take me any way different than I normally am? Did you think I was being mean or anything like that? Truly, you're not going to hurt my feelings, because I sure wasn't trying to. I was trying to be nice to the guy. I was trying to explain to Sarge what the guy was saying to give the guy a little bit of a break so that Sarge would not go off on him so much. And then he snapped at me, and I'm like, whoa, nope. I'm not the one, buddy. Sorry. I've taken too much shit out here on this internet from people for me to just sit back and let people stomp on me, because I won't do it anymore. Welcome, Got Me Stomped. Good to see you. Yeah, a bully. That was so much funny. So funny to me. Oh, it is. It absolutely is, Josie. He doesn't mean. He's definitely not what some people used to think he was. He just takes things serious, And when he knows facts about something, and he really takes it serious with this case about all the misinformation that's been put out, which is why he's so upset with Steve. So we shall see. Yeah, we're all just bullies. Captain Jenks in the house. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us. Come on in, guys. Get comfortable. And that's a really true statement. But Eddie said that bully always accuse the other side, which, yeah, but projection, 100%, buddy. I agree with you. Yeah, I'm definitely not that, but that's okay. What the hell was the guy's name? I think it was Delby or something like that. It was a weird name. So yeah, guys, we're gonna run that, if that's what it is, too. Wisdom. He calls it as he sees it, and he's real. Now, mind you, Sarge has Asperger's, by the way. Okay, so when he feels a certain something about something, he has to express it. He has to be able to make it known what he thinks and what he feels about it. Otherwise, he'll go nuts, and that's why he's like that. No, Wayne was the other guy that was making weird statements that Sarge finally bounced him to. Yeah, I know, Cap. I'm so mean. Sorry. But yeah, that's all it is. So when he feels a certain type of way about something, he's going to explain it one way or another. And if he's not able to get it out, he gets frustrated. So that's part of what his problem is sometimes. He's a good guy. He's got a great heart. He really does. The things that I've talked to him about, and he's really intelligent, you guys. He knows a lot, and I've learned things from him. So, I'm grateful to have known him and to have met him, and I will always support him. Certain things he's said and done in the past that he's even told me I should have done this, I should have done that. And sometimes he can't control himself. He'll say something and then regrets it afterwards. You know what I mean? So he's just one of them guys. It's hard. It's hard. A lot of people couldn't handle him in the beginning, and like Mom Bear loves him now. Um, and has, because he's real. He comes at you real and he tells the truth. Sometimes it's a little bit too much to hear. And there's certain things that he said in the past. I've told him, like, that you can't be saying that. That's wrong. And he's like, I know. It just comes out sometimes. They go, I can't help it. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I understand. But he's a great guy. I really am grateful to have gotten to know him. And he knows a lot about this stuff. And like I said, I've learned a lot from him because of it. So, but he's very smart. That's true. Scary smart. That Wayne guy was just saying the same thing, Jesse. He just kept saying about the things that should be being investigated and haven't been. And Sarge just telling him, then call Ann or send it to her. Let her know. That's what it's about, is try to to get the information to them. And the guy just kept going on and on. And Sarge was finally like, okay, forget it. And you're out of here. And that's what it is, Alicia. He does. Some of the things he says, and I've even told him, I'm like, listen, we love you. I said, but sometimes you get ahead of yourself and you say, he goes, I know, I know, I know. He said, I'm working on it, and he's actually gotten better. He does try, and I got to give him that. Steve isn't right. He just spouts out. And yeah, Steve has said a lot of stuff. He really has that he really shouldn't have. And last night, yesterday, we're going to finish that this afternoon, right after this show, and some other things. So we're just going to go through the morning show, do a quick morning show like we do. And back to back, I'll jump right into the next show after that. Some people just go out there. Oh, big time. Big time, Jesse. Yeah, it's crazy. Hopefully, I'll be able to get you guys to join me again this afternoon. Like I said, this is probably going to be a couple hours here, if that, and out the door we go, and right into the next show. So there's some other stuff out here to talk about with this. Hopefully, if things got worked out, Mama Bear helped me fix that issue I was having. Hopefully. All right, let's see here. Yeah, you ain't lying, buddy. That's the dumbest thing. Yeah, de Gucci, good to see you today. All the way from Poland. Thank you for joining us. Great to see you guys here today. Thank you for joining me. 32 peeps in the house today, and we got 14 likes, guys. See if we can make that match, please, and thank you. Appreciate you so very much. Let me see here. See what updates we have, if any. I did have something I was going to show you about Idaho itself too. Of course, because these are news stories that are going around. I guess I'll start with that one. This just came out 9 hours ago. And of course, Mashley Banfield. So I'm sorry for that. That's where we'll start off, guys. Check this out first. See what we got going on today. Again, thank you all for joining us.
Start here, though. In my business, we're laser focused on learning every detail and filling in every blank about a gripping true crime case. But sometimes in this process, our hearts just get broken all over again each time we learn something new. And so it is with the University of Idaho murders. Since the case moved to Boise with a different judge, we've seen a blizzard of unsealed, unredacted court filings and a regular supply of details and disclosures, even some bombshells. And tonight, two absolutely stunning revelations about the surviving housemates texting and talking in the wee hours of November 13th, 2022. Also, a rare peek into some grand jury testimony, something we don't often get to see. We knew that Dylan Mortensen, a surviving roommate, had texted an Uber driver just after 2 o'clock in the morning. That's about 2 hours before the murders happened. But now we know that she and three of her roommates, Bethany, Kaylee, and Maddie, all of whom had just arrived home from a night out, had actually contemplated going out again. The court document reads, and I quote, at approximately 2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while before going to bed. The fifth roommate, Xana Kernodle, who was out with her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, was not home yet. The roommates debated going out to the food truck for late night snack, prompting Dylan to send a text at 2:10 a.m. to an Uber driver she knew to see if he was driving. Ultimately, however, the girls decided to just go to bed. Man, that brings to mind a lot of what ifs, doesn't it? What if they'd gone back out? What if they just decided, let's go, let's do it. It's 2 a.m. Let's go get more food. Might that have changed the course of history on that horrifying night? Of course, there is a good chance if they'd popped back out to that food trunk that they still would have been home before the knife-wielding intruder allegedly frying Kobe.
The only thing he did respond, he said he was. She asked if he was still driving, and he did say he was. That's all we know from that. That I can tell you, Mittens. So that was a response. A lot of people do, Cap. Don't feel bad. It's okay. I just don't like the stuff that she says and puts out. You know what I mean? And I know it's her job, but it's just some of it's wrong. That's all. And don't worry about that, Cap. It is what it is.
Burger broke in and killed Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. But we will never know. And that brings me to the second
right, Terry.
revelation.
Right.
We knew about Dylan and Bethany's frantic text messaging between 4:22 a.m. and 4:26 a.m. when Dylan tells Bethany that nobody will answer their phones and that she's afraid because she saw someone in a ski mask. And we knew that Dylan then ran down to Bethany's room on the ground floor of the 3-level house. But the court documents now reveal a brand new fact that we never knew. And it is, honestly, it is something horrifying. Again, quoting Dylan. Dylan again tried calling Kaylee and Xana, but neither responded. Dylan then exited her room and began running towards Bethany's bedroom. On her way, she noticed Xana lying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. Dylan thought Xana was drunk. Once Dylan arrived downstairs at Bethany's room, they locked the door and both made additional unanswered calls to the other roommates. Hours passed, and at 11:50 a.m. the next morning, 6 minutes before the 911 call that you have heard on this program, Dylan called her friends Emily Allant and Hunter Johnson because she was too afraid to go upstairs by herself. And the court filing reads, Emily and Hunter met Dylan and Bethany at the bottom floor of the house. Together, Dylan, Bethany, and Hunter started to walk up the stairs to the second floor. When they reached the second floor, Hunter went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. Now, this next part is from Dylan's grand jury testimony. When Hunter came back out, Dylan said, quote, she saw Xana again for a split second, and this is Dylan talking, and just started bawling because she thought she had just like, I don't even know. I thought maybe she was still just drunk and all asleep on the floor. Bethany also saw Xana lying on the floor. Hunter told Dylan and Bethany to, quote, get out. Emily, who had started up the stairs, also turned around after Hunter instructed her not to come any further. They both went outside shortly afterwards, and Hunter exited the house and then told them to call 911. He was pale, white, and mentioned something about someone being unconscious. You can hear a lot of that. You can hear a lot of it on the 911 call. We just envisioned that the banging and the calling out, Xana, Ethan, was at the bedroom door, but it may not have been. It may have been down the hall and around the corner at the stairs. This is where I'm going to stop and bring in Steve Gonzalez. Steve is Kaylee Gonzalez's father. He's been a regular guest on the program. Steve, these were details that I found astounding. They seemed to
welcome, Contessa. Great to see you today, and I hope you are as well.
A very confusing picture of what happened that night. And I often stop and I think about you and the other parents, and whether you get a heads up that this stuff is coming, whether you have someone who sits down with you and goes through it and helps you to sort through it. How do you receive this kind of information?
Welcome, Kim.
We normally get an email beforehand. We work back and forth. I don't think either party really had an understanding of how to really construct something where you can share information, but not too much information. But the communication's gotten a lot better. I've really grew to like these guys. I mean, I really care about that those people and all the work that they've done. So I think they've always tried to work towards communication, but I'm sure they're very busy, and it's not easy to always remember to keep us in the loop.
You know, it was a surprise to me, Steve, to hear this detail that Bethany got a glimpse down the hall of what now appears to be Xana's open bedroom door, and Xana lying inside that bedroom door, and ran downstairs to Bethany's room. And then at one point, Bethany also saw that same image. But it's sort of just it's flummoxing to think that they called friends, they called 911 before anybody sort of went to investigate what was happening in that bedroom with the door now open. We always assumed that it was closed and they couldn't get past it.
Yeah, that's definitely a puzzling part of it. But I always assume you have somebody who's scared, girl, slight intoxicated. Um, my own daughter, when my son was playing a prank on her, acting like he was being attacked, him and his mom, Kaylee ran upstairs and hid under the bed and called me at work. So when people are scared, they're young. They don't think the same way as a grown adult does, and I think they were just thinking that something bad had happened, but they didn't want to believe it. They weren't really prepared to mentally like accept what was happening, and I totally understand that, because it's not something that we're used to in Idaho. It's not something that is common. It's not even, it's just unheard of. So I chalk it up to that. And I know that there's a lot of forensic, and there's a lot, these girls had their phones on. I already said way back in the day that you could tell when they went up the stairs and downstairs. This is all laid out. Every step has been retraced. So um, it did make a difference in the bigger picture. Um, and I've always said that there could be blessings for late calls as well too.
Yeah, yeah. It's also just so jarring to get the detail that the girls were all together up in your daughter's room, chatting about let's all go out again, 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's go back to the food truck. And I'm not sure if you heard how I laid it out at the top of the show, but all I can think of is the what ifs if they had actually decided to go. And I'm wondering how you're processing that information.
Um, I knew a little bit of the details about that. I don't even talk about some of it just because I don't want to hurt some of the people, that are involved in this. If certain people would have got picked up phones, all those type of things, those are what ifs. But I think what it really goes to your audience is these girls were best friends, and even the last moments of my daughter and Maddie's, they were surrounded with friends, and they were in their beds. So just keep that in mind, because there's going to be probably some people are going to try to drag these surviving people through the mud, and up to their very last moments, they were hanging out with these, the people who passed away, planning on doing something fun. And my daughter came down there to hang out with one of those girls, and that's the reality of it. That's the truth of it, not some of the speculation that you're going to eventually hear about.
Yeah, and shame on those who have cast.
Wait, what does he mean? Some of the speculation you're going to eventually hear about. Is there something else coming? That was interesting.
Dispersions on these two surviving roommates who have been to hell and back. They're still there. They're not back, and how anyone could set upon them with ridiculous conspiracy theories is beyond the pale. There was something that you mentioned.
Welcome, Green Eyed. Been a while. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you very much.
I think a couple of days ago in an interview that sort of stood out to me, and that was that I think you had a chance to speak with the coroner and got a detail about one of the injuries that your daughter suffered at the hands of this killer. I think it was a punch to the face. Can you tell me what it is that you learned?
Um, I don't go into all the details on it because I want the court to bring it out. I want them to do it. But yes, I feel 2.5 years. The defense has a strategy to have everybody forget, and I'm here to make sure they don't forget. So when I do have to let stuff out, it's because I don't want people to forget that we have a monster. And yes, he one of the girls was a little more intoxicated. He was able to go after that. Maddie May first, and my daughter woke up and he struck her multiple times and broke her nose. And yeah, and there's a little bit more details to that, but I leave that to them in case that's something pertinent for them to know and to let them release it. But I'm not going to let anyone forget about what this monster did. And I'll leave it at that.
But they were able to give you that detail that
Well, that's because it wasn't him, Alicia. There's proof right there. Especially if you broke somebody's nose. And this is why I don't think it was a fist. I think it was something else, sadly.
that the killer killed Maddie first and then went after Kaylee second.
Correct.
I think there's a lot of forensics that we're going to learn in this trial. I hope you're going to be okay, you and Christy and the family, when it comes time for those testimony days. The last thing I wanted to ask you about, Steve, is that you've learned that Brian Kohberger called out from work the day after these murders. What do you know about that, and how did you hear this?
There's a thing called a Brian tally. I've heard about. I've spoken because I was vocal, because I came out. Some people reached out to me. This individual was an employee of WSU, and from there, I learned of some details. So, yeah, there was an investigation, an HR type investigation, and
Okay, so the day after the murders was Sunday, right? And if I'm wrong, but would the school be open on Sunday anyway? Just saying.
I don't know all the details about it, but I do know these girls felt very creeped out. They talked to people in power and they said, document it. And they started documenting it. And that's how we know that one of the days, the day after he took that photo where he's acting like he's, super confident and got away with murder. He doesn't look sick to me at all. You guys can look at, everyone, your audience can go look at it themselves. And I heard that's the only time he ever called in sick as well.
That's unbelievable detail. Steve, I always am very appreciative that you take the time to speak with us. I'm glad you keep your daughter's memory alive and the story alive as well. It's important that nobody forget what happened. Thank you again for this.
Yeah.
Steve Gonsalves joining us from Idaho tonight.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
So what we again. The drunk turkey interview was loaded with jump cuts. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, probably. I don't even know what to say, you guys. This is so ridiculous. It's just like every time. It seems interesting to me because all this stuff come out and everybody starts looking at this case differently. And now we have 2 interviews with him. It's just, I'm not saying that's why it's happening, but it's really ironic. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, I get it. I was thinking about it critical. So early Sunday morning, yeah. So he didn't go to work Monday. And that this is what's been said, but we don't know 100% that that's true because it's hearsay at this point. So if they can prove it and they bring it up, okay, fine. That is what it is. Candy girl, good to see you, dear. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I was just thinking of the way the days fell, but 100%. So just don't mind me. Um, wow. Again, I don't see anything or any way. Yeah, he did go to the doctor, Sherry. So yes, m- you know, let's not throw that in there that he had a doctor's appointment and maybe he wasn't feeling well or something was going on with his dyspraxia or something. Okay, so that 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 couldn't at all be the reason why he called off from work. Not at all. Okay. And again, the man had no marks on him, bruises, scratches, facial, nothing at all. And he killed 4 people the night before he took that picture. I don't see that. Sorry. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Just one more thing to add to the mix of bullshit, in my opinion. Good point, Kim. Yeah. Yep. Very good point, Jesse. And it's going to happen. It always does. Let's see. All right, guys. Let me see what else we got coming here. Give me a minute. Oh, hold on. This was the next situation with this case. News wise, hold on. This just came out last night.
Case makes a major decision on the death penalty and reveals new details about the night of the murders and what a roommate saw as Keely Gonsalves's father also reveals new information about the case.
There was more to what had happened to them in that bedroom.
I look at the judge's orders and every new detail. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Brian Kohberger's second attempt to get the death penalty stricken as a possible punishment for the murders of 4 University of Idaho students has failed. Kohberger's lawyers argued he has autism spectrum disorder, and because of that diagnosis, that means he is intellectually disabled, and so he should not qualify for the death penalty because of precedent set by the United States Supreme Court. But Judge Hippler disagreed. I'll go through what Judge Hippler said in his order about the death penalty and new details that he revealed about the night of the murders as he makes a decision about whether the jury...
Welcome, bro. Good to see you. Miss you, girl. Good to see you. We're just running through some different things here for the morning show. And this afternoon, right after this show, we'll be going back into the second half of what we were doing yesterday. So thanks for joining in, guys.
We'll hear the 911 call and text messages between the surviving roommates from that morning. But first, to that decision about the death penalty. When Kohberger goes on trial this summer for the murders of Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, the death penalty will be on the table as a possible punishment. Kohberger maintains he didn't murder the 4 students by stabbing them at the house on King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Brian Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at nearby Washington State University, and he's been described as intelligent by those who knew him. Experts hired by his attorneys to evaluate him agreed, and they said he has an IQ of 119, so he's a pretty smart guy. But they also diagnosed him with autism spectrum disorder, level 1 specifically, which is the highest functioning form of autism. It used to be called Asperger's syndrome. Kohberger's attorneys argued that level 1 autism diagnosis should make him ineligible for the death penalty. Attorney Alyssa Massif made her argument at a hearing earlier this month, citing the U.S. Supreme Court case Atkins v. Virginia.
4 impairments in Atkins, which apply here, are A, less able to give meaningful assistance to their counsel, B, demeanor may create an unwarranted impression of lack of remorse for their crimes, C, typically poor witnesses, and D, mitigating evidence of ID can, quote, quote, be a two-edged sword that may enhance the likelihood that the aggravating factor of future dangerousness will be found by the jury. All four of these impairments apply to ASD generally and to Mr. Koberger in particular. As to less ability to give meaningful assistance, extremely rigid thinking, he perseverates on specific
Good point, Chris.
topics, processes information on a piecemeal basis, struggles to plan ahead, and demonstrates little insight into his own behavior and emotions.
Masseth continued, basically telling Judge Hippler that Brian Koberger can't help them prepare his defense.
He may understand the definition of mitigation, but he has no ability to assist us and understand if what might be mitigating and why. The impairments that he has go all the way back to his very young years, where he walked on his tippy toes, rocked on all fours for extended periods of time, could not engage in imaginative play, wrote his fives upside down and backward. He was provided with extensive supports in school. He was evaluated for ASD, but not properly diagnosed, and bring that to current time where he is at age 28, where he has few personal relationships. He does not have any insight into things like the fact that he once volunteered at the Special Olympics is mitigating, or that he helped save someone's life on the job, and that's mitigating. He can see the logic in the word mitigation, but he has no ability to understand and help us develop a case for him for mercy. His demeanor, he has a limited range of facial expression, odd eye contact, and intense gaze with subtle rocking, sitting very still. This is important because of the impact that jurors assigned and give tremendous weight to perceived remorse or the lack thereof.
I want to tell you about a free app that I've tried called Upside. It gives you cash back on things that you use each day, like gas, groceries, and
Coverage of Koberger was another reason to strike the death penalty.
You know, if we didn't have 2.5 years.
True. And every child in person that has ASD has different variations of things and that they do and act like and so on and so forth. So it very much so, Sherry. I can agree with you that that's different in some ways. So
of media coverage to know how Mr. Koberger's physical presence has been perceived, the state might have a little bit more credibility with that argument that it's not relevant. But we have extensive media coverage that refers to him as evil, as an incel, as looking like a monster.
where did you see that he was kickboxing, bud? I've never seen that. I know he jogged. I didn't ever see anything about kickboxing or anything. I just saw that he was a runner. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see that, though. I've never seen that. If it's out there, if it's true, of course. What's up, Kane? Thanks for joining us, bud. Okay. See, I never saw that before, Mr. Girl. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just never had seen it.
With very dark eyes, and it's all based on their analysis of him sitting in the courtroom. Pardon?
None of that is autism.
Thank you.
What you just mentioned.
But his physical presence is what the media has been judging, which is the same thing that a jury is going to do. So my point is that for the state to say that it's not relevant, we actually have in this situation the ability to point you to the fact that that is not true. Because what
Yes,
the
he
media
does.
has done, I mean, there are, even before the cameras were cut out of the courtroom, there were all kinds of zooming in and stories with experts doing body language studying about him, including the fact that this is how he holds his hands, and there's details about that. So it's disingenuous to say that he's not going to be judged by his appearance. That is exactly what jurors are doing. They're judging the evidence. They're staring at the accused. They're looking for an accused to be remorseful and emotional at evidence that makes everybody
Thanks,
else
bud.
feel bad. And he is not capable of doing that through no fault of his own.
Now, as you can imagine, the prosecution argued against striking the death penalty because of Koberger's autism.
Your Honor, I want to start with the Atkins decision because the U.S. Supreme Court are the experts that this court is bound by. And that court specifically found in Atkins that there were two reasons why the individuals they were contemplating
Welcome,
could not
Terry.
be subject to death. And it was sub-average intellectual functioning plus significant limitation in adaptive skills. What the defense is asking is to eliminate that first critical component and look only at adaptive skills.
Assistant Attorney General Jeff Nye addressed part of Koberger's argument that 2 states have listed some mental illnesses as a reason a person should not be eligible for the death penalty.
Not a single state has said that someone with ASD cannot be executed. They cited to 2 states in their brief to support their claim. Neither of them have laws that preclude this. In fact, their laws, both passed within the last 5 years, did add to the list certain mental illnesses, but they did not add ASD. That means those legislatures considered which mental illnesses should we add to this list and rejected the idea of adding ASD. So that's not the national consensus that the defendant would need for this type of claim.
Judge Hippler denied Koberger's request to strike the death penalty. Hippler wrote, "In sum, not only has defendant failed to show that ASD is equivalent to an intellectual disability for death exemption purposes, he has not shown there is a national consensus against subjecting individuals with ASD to capital punishment. ASD may be a mitigating factor to be weighed against the aggravating factors in determining if a defendant should receive the penalty, but it is not a death penalty disqualifier." Judge Hippler also addressed the defense's claim that the media is demonizing Koberger because of his autism. As the state points out, however, there is no precedent for striking the death penalty due to media coverage. Further, any concerns that arise from such media coverage can be mitigated through voir dire and from expert testimony and evidence during the penalty phase of the trial.
And on location of your emergency?
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
In Hippler's decision on the call and text messages, he wrote about that night and the roommates being at the King Road house. Hippler wrote, "At approximately 2 a.m., they met up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while before going to bed. The 5th roommate, Xana Kernodle, who was out with her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, was
Welcome,
home
Kent.
late. The roommates debated going out to a food truck for a late snack, prompting DM to send a text at 2:10 a.m. to an Uber driver she knew to see if he was driving. Ultimately, however, the girls decided to just go to bed." So that little bit of information paints such a sad picture for the roommates, Maddie and Kaylee, DM and BF. They were all hanging out in Kaylee's bedroom. You can almost visualize it. They were in Kaylee's room just hanging out, thought about going out to the food truck, but then decided to go to bed. None of them knew that about 2 hours later, surviving roommate DM would awake to strange sounds. Hippler wrote, "At approximately 4 a.m., DM heard strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom. She opened her door at one point and saw a man dressed in black with a ski mask on walking by her bedroom door. She then placed calls and texts to her other roommates to see if they were awake. Only BF, who resided on the ground floor, answered. They spoke once for 24 seconds, during which DM told BF she thought she heard something. The next time they spoke, Hippler said that one of the roommates testified at grand jury that she saw a man leaving the house wearing all black and a ski mask. That call was 41 seconds long. Then the roommates texted for 4 minutes between 4:22 and 4:26 a.m. DM wrote to BF, "No one is answering." DM followed up by saying, "I'm really confused right now." DM then texted Kaylee. DM then texted BF, "What's going on?" BF said to DM, "Yeah, dude, WTF." BF wrote to DM, "Xana was wearing all black." DM then wrote to BF, I'm freaking out right now. DM followed by saying, no, it's like a ski mask almost. BF said to DM, STFU. DM then wrote to BF, like,
Now I'm gonna tell you guys. Twiz said this last night too, and Sargis. I think there was a phone call in here that they don't have in here. That's why I think it skips some in these messages here. Why it doesn't make sense. Like there's something missing. I think there was a phone call in there somewhere, and they were talking, and then they went back to texting. That's why I think this sounds like it's off and it doesn't fit. Truly, that's my feeling. I don't know if that's fact. I'm just giving you my thoughts on it. So.
he had something over his forehead and little in mouth. DM then wrote to BF, Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. BF then wrote to DM, so am I. DM then wrote to BF, my phone is going to die. BF then wrote to DM, come to my room. BF wrote to DM, run.
Thanks,
BF
Cap.
then followed with down here. DM then wrote to BF, I'm scared though. BF wrote to DM, yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone. Now, during those text messages, Hippler said that DM also tried to reach Ethan Chapin through Snapchat, and she also tried to call Kaylee and Xana, but neither one answered. Judge Hippler wrote, DM then exited her room and began running toward BF's bedroom. On her way, she noticed Xana lying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet toward the door.
A lot of people have asked that question. Here's what I think that could have been about, William. Kaylee and Maddie went to the grub truck and got macaroni and cheese before they came home at 1:56. They're sitting up in the room at 2 a.m. It's possible they were eating and that the other two girls may have gotten hungry, and that's what the calling for food thing was about. Could have been about. Seeing these two eating, and they decided they wanted food too, so on and so forth. That's what I believe that stands for. Just in my opinion. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's what I think. And it could be. And then they decided not to, and then they were going to go to bed. So that's.
DM thought Xana was drunk. So this is the first time that we've heard that roommate DM actually saw Xana lying on the floor, but thought Xana was drunk. DM ran to BF's room and they locked the door.
No, I understand, Cap, 100%, bud. And you've been doing quite well because I know what your thoughts were on the one side. So, and anybody else that has the feeling that he's guilty, we respect that. The people that don't think he is, we do, especially in here. And I want you to know that it's okay to state that if that's how you feel. Nobody's going to attack you. We don't do that, okay? Everybody has the rights to their own feelings, and that's why I want everybody to be able to express that. That's all.
And both tried to call their roommates again, but they didn't answer. Hippler then wrote about what happened later in the morning. Between approximately 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., DM engaged in activity on her phone, primarily creating, editing, and deleting images and videos. Her phone activity then ceased until 8:05 when DM accessed Instagram for a few minutes. At 10 a.m., DM again accessed Instagram and communicated over Snapchat. At 10:23, she texted Madison asking, "Are you up?" She received no response. DM continued to access Instagram and Snapchat until 11:29 a.m. when she texted Kaylee, "Are you up?" Again, there was no response, which DM thought was strange because Kaylee and Madison were early wakers. At 11:40 that morning, DM's dad texted her asking about a time to chat, and then a friend of DM's texted her. Then DM asked a friend to come over to help check the house. That friend brought her boyfriend. Hippler says the friend and her boyfriend met DM and BF on the ground floor of the King Road house. Together, DM, BF, and HJ started to walk up the stairs to the second floor. When they reached the second floor, HJ went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. When he came back out, DM saw Xana again for a split second. And I just started bawling because I thought she had just I don't even know. I thought maybe she was just still drunk and all asleep on the floor. This was from the grand jury transcript. BF also saw Xana lying on the floor. Hippler continues, HJ told DM and BF to get out. EA, who had started up the stairs, also turned around after HJ instructed her not to come any further. They both went outside. Shortly afterwards, HJ exited the house and told them to call 911. He was pale white. and mentioned something about someone being unconscious. So the two roommates and the boyfriend of their friend, his name is Hunter, had already been up to the second floor where Xana's room was located. Then they called 911.
She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
In the end, Judge Hippler said he will allow the 911 call to be played for the jury, but parts will have to be redacted, including the neighbor telling the dispatcher that one of the roommates saw a man in the house last night and DM trying to say what happened at 4 a.m., because those statements do not fall under the exception to the hearsay rule. Next, Kohberger's lawyers have lost all of their attempts to keep experts from testifying for the prosecution, including Heather and Jared Barnhart, two computer forensics experts who examined abnormal gaps in Brian Kohberger's activity on his cell phone and his computer at Washington State University. Hippler wrote, "The Barnhart's opinions regarding these topics are fully set forth in their joint report. For example, they observed gaps in defendant's school PC that may be consistent with cleaning up or using anti-forensic methods to clear evidence. Among the gaps found were in the PC and system resource usage monitoring between November 11th, 2022 and November 16th, 2022, which Barnhart's opined was abnormal given that school was in session. Likewise, they located gaps in the PC's Chrome history during dates where downloads occurred on the system, indicating the user was private browsing or clearing browsing history. So the Barnharts believe Brian Kohberger was either using or browsing Google privately or possibly wiped his browsing history. We already knew that he logged into his Google account using a VPN shortly after prosecutors say the murders occurred. We've also learned that an Idaho State Police detective testified that he conducted timed runs at the King Road house and believes the murders could have been carried out in 2 to 4 minutes. A defense expert, meanwhile, Brent Turvey, will testify that there were efforts to clean up the crime scene made by the killer or killers. And Turvey believes there were multiple weapons used against Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, and that all of them were attacked at the same time, which means the defense is arguing there was more than one killer. The state, meanwhile, has an expert who will testify that Maddie Mogan was so intoxicated that there was no way she could have fought back. Steve Gonsalves, Kaylee's father, appeared on the Drunk Turkey show recently and revealed the coroner told him that Kaylee was stabbed and harmed in another way.
They were in the bed together. They had passed away, but she's seen markings and damages that made her suspect that that there was more to what had happened to them in that bedroom. So, I mean, I'll say he struck my daughter. You know, I'll give that out. He punched her, and you know, so for all those people who think he's a great guy, now he punched my daughter right in the face.
I want to bring in Philip Dubé. He works as court-appointed counsel in Los Angeles. So, Philip, I want your reaction. I don't think you're probably very surprised to Judge Hippler denying the request to strike the death penalty because Brian Kohberger has autism spectrum disorder.
Well, he didn't meet the criteria under Atkins, meaning when you read the opinion and the orders, just because somebody has autism spectrum disorder does not mean that they are categorically exempt from the death penalty under the Eighth Amendment analysis, that whole line of cruel and unusual punishment jurisprudence. No, instead, what you do is you look at it on an individual basis. If you cannot show as a capital defendant that you are intellectually disabled within that spectrum, you don't qualify. So not everybody on that spectrum qualifies. Now, instead, what he can do is he can amass all that evidence to show all his setbacks in life, to show his spectrum disorder during the mitigation phase, if he's convicted during the penalty phase. So all is not lost. But yes, there is still a lot on the line for the man, and he still really could get the firing squad.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, he's level 1. He's not somebody who's nonverbal. He may have some, you know, social impairments and things like that, but it just didn't fall, as you said, under the criteria. I mean, the Atkins decision is talking about people who are really mentally impaired and what they used to call mentally retarded. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, meaning you have sub-average intelligence. And typically, if you have an IQ that's over 70, you are not intellectually disabled. Now, listen, you're not the brightest bulb in the chandelier. I'll give you that. But that doesn't mean that under Eighth Amendment analysis that you are not worthy of being executed. Because the whole retributive morality rationale behind the death penalty is not there when somebody really can fully appreciate and understand what they've done. And just because somebody might be a little socially awkward, that they might have some, I don't know, maybe immature language type problems and language deficits, it does not mean that they, before the age of 18, had serious intellect and adaptive functioning deficits. It just means that they're not super intelligent. And the law does not require that you have to be less smart than Pythagorean or Galileo or Einstein to be executed. It's ridiculous. We have plenty of people in society of average intelligence who commit crimes. And that's exactly what the Eighth Amendment is there to sort of enforce, if you will, that if you are going to commit a capital offense and you are not intellectually impaired or have some type of adaptive functioning deficit before the age of 18, it's fair game under the Eighth Amendment to be executed.
Philip, I feel like every time Judge Hippler issues some new orders, he releases some new information about the case. And he did that this time. And really, the defense wanted to bar most of the experts presented by the state from testifying in this case. They lost. They lost that battle. The judge denied their motion, their request to do that. And in denying this request, Judge Hippler said the state has two experts in computer forensics who examined Brian Kohberger's computer activity, specifically his phone and his school computer, right before the murders and right after. And they're saying there's this weird kind of gap. There are abnormal gaps in activity. So they're saying there was either an effort to privately browse or to wipe things away, possibly forensically. How damaging is that going to be to Brian Kohberger's defense?
Well, this is going to be a battle of the experts because you can bet that the defense is going to call their own forensics expert to the stand and explain to the jury that these gaps may have nothing to do with browsing patterns or anything nefarious, but it could be something in the software itself or even in the hardware. And this is exactly why we have a battle of the experts in these cases. The remedy is not to exclude the state's expert on the grounds that their opinion is invalid or scientifically unreliable, or somehow the basis of their opinion was not disclosed in full to the defense. No, the remedy is you put on your own strong expert to show the jury why the state's version.
I'm sorry, that was too funny. Simply, I can't let it go. I have to say something. That was too much to me because I'm looking at this, imagining the same thing with this dude's face. I can't not. That was great. Simply, I love it. Thank you, Michelle. Yes, he's doing well. He's healthy, happy. We're excited. We're happy for it. Welcome back, Wood Beats. Good to see you. Great to have you here today. Remember when Ann Taylor grilled Payne about the iMac that somehow never got searched because it was sitting out in it? Yeah. Yep, I do. Good point. Very good point. Thanks again for the laugh. Simply, that was too much for me. Yeah, he's definitely a little different looking there, Sarge. I can agree with that one. The eyebrows, this dude's got some serious eyebrows, and his face just I don't even know what to say. Anyway, I can't. That had me dying. And the thing, Cap, that you mentioned, like the running is not the issue. It's the agility and the joint movement and stuff with his hands, his arms, his elbows and stuff. That's what the dyspraxia affects. Okay. Now the running thing is probably why he does run. It helps to keep his legs and stuff from hurting and being all tightened up and stuff like that. But hand wise and repeated movement like that is what they say is where the problem would lie with that kind of thing. But I understand you questioning it because I did too. You guys are killing me with this guy. This dude, I know he's definitely strange, but you're killing me. Oh my God. Yep. There it is. Good God. There he is. I found his class picture, you guys. Thank you, Alicia. I can't with you guys. I can't. I'm dying over here. This is too much. This is too much. It's too much. I can't. You guys are killing me. Oh my God. Where you going, Cass? You stay here. All right, Alicia. I'm done. I'm dead. Thank you. That was too much. Too funny.
Version is flawed. And I do predict that whoever they use, and I can't recall the name of their cyber expert, is going to intelligently and scientifically rebut it. And then it's for the jury to evaluate which expert, if any, they're going to buy into. And it's exciting because both sides are going to have cogent arguments for their positions. And in the end, the jury is going to be tasked with weighing everything with that in reaching a verdict. And it's not just going to stand in isolation.
I want to go now to the text messages and the 911 call. Basically, the text messages between the surviving roommates, they're going to be allowed in. Those roommates can testify to the content of those text messages. The 911 call, though, Hippler said some of that's going to be redacted. There's basically 3 parts of that are going to be redacted because it doesn't fall within the hearsay exception. But really, there was a really sad part of this, and I think it's something that the defense will pounce on during trial, is the fact that surviving roommate DM, after she sees this guy in her house, and she's scared and she runs down the stairs, she said she told the grand jury she saw Xana laying on the floor, but she just thought she was unconscious and drunk. And then she's up and she's on her phone at 5 a.m. What are your thoughts about that, about the judge's ruling on the 911 call, but then about DM actually seeing her and then they're running downstairs and then, they're locked in the bedroom, etc.?
Well, remember, there's a difference between statements and observations. If they're going to call someone to the stand to testify about what they saw, that is in fact direct evidence. I mean, it is being offered for substantively for what the witness actually observed. And assuming it's relevant, the judge is duty bound to let it in for the jury to hear and to evaluate. Contrast observations with statements. And when we talk about statements, we're talking about things that are being said outside of court before the trial even commenced. And those statements are not categorically or automatically admissible in evidence. They have to fall within an exception to the hearsay rule. If they don't fall within any exception, the remedy is exclusion. They don't just come in. And the reason why is when you have what we call an out-of-court declarant, somebody making a statement outside of court, their believability, their reliability, their credibility cannot be tested in real time in front of a jury. So sometimes you have situations within a 911 call where you have multiple conversations going on, multiple statements being stated, and there's really no way to test the reliability and the veracity of those statements. So the remedy is exclusion. How you get around that is you bring everybody in who made the call. You actually call them to the stand to testify that they called 911, everything that they said to 911, everything that they observed before, during, and after that call. And that's how you solve this. But to just mark and play a recording for the jury, it's still subject to the rules of evidence. Otherwise, to be fair to Brian Kohberger, he could be denied a fair trial.
Well, it will be interesting to see how it's presented at trial and how these roommates testify and how they hold up under cross-examination. Philip Dubé, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you back.
And one last thing, the defense has mentioned.
Oops, sorry guys, I hit the wrong button. She's not done yet. 1 second. Damn it, Alicia. I can't stop laughing now.
Thank you back.
And one last thing, The defense has mentioned they're looking into possible other suspects they want to point the finger at during trial. Well, the judge would have to sign off on that because it would have to meet certain criteria. The defense has until the middle of May to present that information to the court. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next.
Oh my God, that was too funny. I think I cracked a rib.
Scared.
I think I cracked a rib. Jesus. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to laugh, but I couldn't help myself. Starge says, who goes into a house with an unconscious person, and the first thing you do is go to the kitchen to get a knife? 100%. That's something I can't get past. If you think somebody's passed out from being drunk, what do you need a knife for? Are you going to attack them? Or do you think you need protection from that person if they're passed out? I mean, come on. It doesn't make sense. It's okay, Alicia. I needed a laugh. Yeah, and that's true. If there was somebody in the house, he'd have been done. And there's a lot of people that think that he was putting fingerprints on at the scene or something. So yeah, I mean, I can understand. Jesus, sorry about that. I'm still laughing. Taylor, you're going to object to everything. This is going to last for 3-6 months, more of the latter. I don't know. Yeah, there should have been blood everywhere, and that wasn't even spoken about. They didn't even remark to that, which was strange to me. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. Oh my God, Alicia. Give myself a damn headache laughing hard. That hard. Hold on a minute here, guys. I'm gonna pull up the next scenario. Let's see here. Okay. Hang on here. Okay, my reaction is really slow here, guys. So I'm sorry. With the computer reaction, I'm not mine, but my apologies. Hang on. Okay. Demon Dog, good to see you, my friend. Barbara, hello and welcome. Donna Salamander, all you guys. So yes. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit here, but everybody that's in here, if you guys were interested in the Idaho stuff, please don't go too far, because as soon as I'm done with the morning show here today, guys, we're moving into day number 2, part 2 of the breaking down the rest of the interview from Steve and talking the open discussion about this case and other things involving this case as well today. And that will be right directly after this show. So there's a few other different things we're going to switch gears with to go over as we do in the morning shows. We do a variety of things, updates and stuff like that. And then we'll be back to Idaho this afternoon. So like I said, won't be much longer after I shut this one down. I was just going to give you guys this next update in the Karen Reed situation via Court TV, of course. Let's see. That's a good point. That is a good point. And that's, like I said, after everything we've seen Steve say in these interviews, he hasn't one time mentioned the fact that he's upset about them not calling 911 after the things that he's learned with the text messages, this, that, and everything else. I would be upset about that. I would definitely be upset about that. So again, guys, this is an update of the Karen Reed situation as we move forward to get through the rest of the morning show here, guys. And I appreciate you all being here with us. I seriously do. Make sure to hit that like button if you can, please. didn't answer your question. What's up, Eddie? What did you see? I didn't even see it, bud. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me back up here. Hold on. If I can find it. Hold on. Oh, you weren't even talking to me. Okay. My apologies. All right. Off we go. Let's check it out.
It was supposed to be an ordinary night. Drinks, laughter, the easy comfort of familiar faces. Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, their relationship strained yet still clinging to old affection, spent those final hours entwined in a swirl of emotions. The winter storm raged outside as tensions brewed within. Witnesses described Karen drinking a fair amount of alcohol along with everyone else who was out that night. By morning, the world had changed forever. John O'Keefe, a respected Boston police officer, was found lifeless in the snow, battered and frozen outside of a fellow officer's home. The woman he loved would quickly become the woman accused. Karen Reed's frantic voicemails from that night, pleading and confused, would morph into key evidence in a case built on suspicion and heartbreak. Friends divided, loyalty shattered, and a once private relationship became the centerpiece of a public firestorm. The question lingers
You're
like
fine,
a ghost.
Cap. Don't
Was it a
apologize.
tragic accident or something far darker, born from a night that spiraled out of control?
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments with our continuing coverage of the Karen Reed retrial of the century. We're into week 2. Let's talk about cell phones. Can we talk about cell phones for just a second? I mean, with a cell phone, you've seen the trials on Court TV. There's a lot of evidence in every one of these. The one that I have here, tons of evidence, right? This is my cell phone. You could tell a story with what you find in here between the pictures and tracking all the information, the websites, the locations, the communications. It's like there is more evidence in these now than investigators ever had in the entire rest of their cases in years past. It has completely changed the game of civil litigation, right? But really in criminal cases. Oftentimes the digital footprint becomes the most important evidence. And it's something that jurors are understanding. Like we all say, yep, they're watching me all the time, because they are. They are. They're tracking your movements. They're tracking your communications. So it's very revealing. And it was very revealing for Trooper Michael Proctor, whose private cell phone, the contents became part of the first trial and revealed communications that he never expected anyone to find out about. It revealed his prejudices in the...
We will be running the weird, creepy, unexplained, and scary Saturday night cap. So yes, you're going to get it. Don't worry.
Case. It revealed his innermost thoughts about the defendant, Karen Reed, and it undermined the prosecution's case. And that was information that the defense usually doesn't get. It was from his personal phone. So you can understand how important that evidence was in the first trial and will continue to be here in the retrial. Then you talk about the phones that were destroyed by the Bryans, Brian Higgins and Brian Albert. Their phones were smashed, gone. So not so much was revealed there. Right? Well, the question is, what was in there and what was the reason for destroying those phones? What was it that they didn't want the world to see? And maybe it was just things that would make them look bad and perhaps cause them potential harm in their private life or in their professional life. Much like what happened to Trooper Proctor. When his personal phone was seized and the contents were extracted, he ended up losing his job. He's gone. And you wonder what evidence may have existed on the phones of Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Well, we'll never know for sure what was on there. But the bottom line, it's going to make these witnesses look questionable in front of the jury as well. Like, why are we doing that? What's going on here? Because everyone knows how much information is in here. Now, let's talk about the victim in the case, John O'Keefe. His cell phone, perhaps the key to the prosecution. We heard it in the opening statement, talking about what the phone was going to reveal on many different levels, not just locations, but communications, health data, movements of the phone, the temperature of the phone, all of it extremely important. And after seeing what happened inside the courtroom today, I believe perhaps one of two keys to the prosecution here. Two keys to this case, because this is the closest anyone's going to be able to get to understanding where John O'Keefe was, where he went, what happened, what he was doing, what he wasn't doing. And it was all revealed today through the prosecution expert talking about the cell phone of the victim, Officer John O'Keefe. So let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, joining us live from outside the courthouse in Dedham, Massachusetts tonight. Matt, this expert, this Celebrite expert, testified in the first trial, but it just seemed more organized, more thorough, and a lot easier to follow this time around. What can you tell us about the testimony today?
Yeah, it was key testimony in the retrial for Karen Reed, and it all came down to cell phones for two individuals for today for this jury. Key players, of course, the victim, John O'Keefe, and then also a key witness that we've yet to hear from, Jen McCabe. So you had Ian Whiffen, who was on the stand today. He works for Celebrite. That is the company that created the program that was used to analyze both of those phones. And he had some key evidence in front of this jury today. He determined through his analysis that Jen McCabe made the Google search after 6 a.m., not around 2:20 a.m. Take a listen.
You showed us a tab that was opened at 2:27:40, and it had something to do with Hawkmock Sports?
Yes.
In your opinion, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, was that the same tab, that 2:27:40 tab open for Hawkmock Sports, was that the same tab that later was used for searches or attempted searches at 6:23:51 and at 6:24 relative to how long or how's long to die in cold?
I believe it was, yes.
Now, of course, Vinny, these were lengthy reports and a lot of analysis on both of these two phones that were at the crime scene at one point in time. Both of them were. As for the victim, John O'Keefe, well, what really stood out for that testimony today is his cell phone and what the data showed and what this witness opined. He said that the phone stopped detecting movement around where John O'Keefe's body was found near that flagpole, if you look at a map, and he showed it to the jury. And he also talked about the temperature of the phone drops dramatically after midnight. And then he talked about that stare data that was argued over last year in the first trial. And here's what he said.
Based on the location data, the health data, and the research that I did and the testing, I believe it is more likely that the device was in a vehicle traveling on a road going up an incline versus the location data being incorrect and the person being walking up physical stairs.
Outside the courthouse, Karen Reed answered a few questions. I asked her about, that cell phone data and her reaction to it. Take a listen. Karen, any reaction to the Supreme Court not taking up the case?
Nope, fight on. Nothing's breaking me, Matt.
And your reaction to the expert with the Commonwealth saying that that it wasn't 2:27 or 2:26, that it was actually after 6 a.m.
Celebrite says 2:27, and it was deleted. Celebrite does.
What do you think about that? So the jury, before their short day today, they only heard the direct examination. Tomorrow will be the cross, Vinny.
And it's an extremely significant cross because the timeline that they laid out today was powerful, if believed, could be potentially devastating to the defense. So the cross-examination crucial. We're going to go through that timeline a little and then the rest of the hour. But right now, I want to ask you about something else that happened because they were talking about the cell phone temperature, but the temperature inside that courtroom heated up this afternoon, Matt, when the so-called ARCA expert, Dr. Wolf, was on the stand being questioned, but really being seemingly cross-examined to a certain extent by Hank Brennan. This got kind of nasty.
It was very heated and it was quite uncomfortable at times. I was in the courtroom for much of that. Again, this is outside the presence of the jury. They were sent home for the day, but they were asked about their communications with the defense team and payment, if there was any payment and any agreement. That's what the majority of the conversation was today. And outside the presence of the jury, they were also asked about their reports and when they would be ready. Here's a bit of those heated discussions.
Do you feel like you're an advocate for the defense?
No, sir.
You sure about that?
Sir, I'm on the science and the analysis that I've done. That's the side that I'm on. That is my best guess. I don't recall from a year ago.
We're not asking you to guess. I'm asking for your testimony. Did you ever delete texts?
From last year?
Yes.
Yes.
After you had text messages with the defense, did you delete those texts?
Yeah, after the trial concluded, I mean, that's something I routinely do. I'm not going to keep texts from Mr. Jackson, especially now that we're past a year. I would have no reason to keep this, sir.
I'm not asking for the excuse. I'm asking if you did it. Did you delete texts?
Again, it's something that I typically do. I communicate with attorneys all the time, whether it's for trial or inspections. I don't have a habit of keeping a text chain about scheduling or meeting or, hey, can we meet at this time or show up here? I just don't have a habit of keeping that type of text. So he's not my friend, sir.
So you didn't delete texts?
I think I just told you that, yes, I did delete the text.
Oh, you didn't tell me, but you just did now. Thank you.
So next question, no comments, Mr. Blank.
Yeah, so this went on for quite a while today in that courthouse here behind me. And, the majority of it, again, was focused on, the communication, payments, and what was disclosed between the two before the first trial and before this retrial. That was the bulk of all of the questioning. But really, the gist of them being here for the judge and for the court was figuring out when they were going to turn over their report. And they were saying that it's still not complete, that it's not going to be completed for a few more weeks. They're projecting May 7th for their analysis and their crash reconstruction, the latest opinion that they're going to have before this jury. And they're saying that there's the delay because there's a new crash reconstructionist hired by the Commonwealth. They're not going to call the original Trooper Paul that testified last year. They're calling someone else. And because of that, it changes their opinion. They're going to have to be prepared for that, Vinny.
Yeah, and those witnesses become enormous. But it was really interesting. Hank Brennan turned into criminal defense attorney today, even though he's a prosecutor. It wasn't in front of the jury, but the way he was questioning this expert, it was just oozing classic criminal defense attorney. Whatever Wolf said was going to be wrong. He misstated some of the things that Wolf had said. It was really interesting. If he does that in front of a jury, it could be a problem, I think, personally. But Matt Johnson, in the middle of it all, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks so much. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also with us, trial attorney David Otunga. He's done a lot of things in his life, folks. You recognize him. And family law attorney Jennifer Brandt with us as well. Here's what I want to do before we start yakking here. I want to play a little more of this back and forth between Hank Brennan and Dr. Daniel Wolf, who is the so-called accident reconstructionist, ARCA expert, they call him, during the course of the trial. Because things got nasty. None of this in front of the jury, though.
I want to talk about back in April. Do you remember having conversations on April 24th with Mr. Jackson? Do you remember that?
I'm going to allow that.
I remember that there were conversations, yes. Specifically what they were to. I remember, I think they were brief, but I don't remember the specifics of them, no.
Well, in the brief conversation, what do you briefly remember about that brief conversation, Doctor?
Well, as I mentioned, I think I had finally received clarification from the DOJ, so I think I was letting him know that I had received that clarification.
Well, sir, you said that was the first call. There were more than one call. There was then 2 calls to the main line. What did you discuss with him during those calls?
Well, To be honest with you, the call to the ARCA main line, I don't even know if I spoke with him. That's just to the main line, not to me directly. So he could have spoken to a receptionist who then tried to get a hold of me, right? So I don't know if that specific call to the main line was to me or someone else at ARCA.
Well, this is a new relationship, right? You were working on a contract with the federal government. You have only spoken to Mr. Jackson, according to you, twice. You don't remember the early conversations with them and what they were about?
I'm sorry, are we talking about now at the end of April
Yeah,
still?
I'm still talking at April 24, 2024.
Yeah, as I just discussed with you, from what I recall, it was relaying to him the clarification that I got from the Department of Justice.
Right, but that doesn't take more than one call, does it?
I don't know. He may have been in court. There might have been some phone tag. I don't know, sir.
Well, there was a 9-minute call on April 24th, and then there's 2 calls to the ARCA main line, 3 minutes and 2 minutes. Do you remember any of those calls?
Again, when you say 3 minutes and 2 minutes, that makes it sound like, in all likelihood, he contacted the ARCA main line, got a hold of a receptionist or my project manager, and couldn't get a hold of me.
Are you just making that up, or that's what happened?
Sir, that is my best guess. I don't recall from a year ago.
We're not asking you to guess. I'm asking for your testimony.
That's what I recall, sir.
Do you recall him calling a secretary on the main line? That's what you recall?
He very well could have. I just don't know, sir.
But you're making a representation that you recall him using a secretary in the main line. I'm asking what you actually did and actually said. Do you remember speaking to Mr. Jackson, Mr. Jackson or anybody on the defense team after that initial call back on April 24, 2024? Do you remember those 2 phone calls?
Objection, Your Honor.
So let's get an answer.
I don't remember those phone calls specifically, no, sir.
This was crazy because it's not in front of a jury. Hank Brennan is mischaracterizing the answers of the witness and then trying to cross him on his mischaracterization of what he just said. It was weird, Al. I just said Weird Al, by the way. It was strange,
Weird
Al.
Al. That's right. It was very, very weird, and it's disturbing. It's not good lawyering. What he was doing is nitpicking on a phone call that 2 minutes, 3 minutes makes perfect sense that would be to the receptionist or to the service. Obviously, there was not an in-depth conversation going on, and to just keep picking on that, he's not scoring any points. Now, of course, there's no jury there, but if he does that in front of a jury, juries get annoyed by that very, very quickly. I mean, do you remember the phone call you had April 24th in 2000? Who remembers? And if it's a 2-minute call to a person who's an expert or a 3-minute call, you know that they didn't have any substantial conversation whatsoever.
Yeah, and
Move
what's
on. It was
happening here,
ridiculous.
and the witness tried to explain this, David, that listen, he was hired by the DOJ, and then because his report was revealed to the parties here, one party wanted to use them as witnesses because their conclusions helped them. They weren't retained initially to do their analysis by the defense, which put this whole thing in a strange place. And it seems like the prosecution wants to blow this up like this is a big aha moment, when by the nature of this relationship, it's just a strange way that these experts and this defense team got together.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is strange to say the least. And it was a bad look for the prosecution. It would have been a really bad look if this were in front of the jury. So thankfully for them, it wasn't in front of the jury, but I don't think it really did anything. And to me, it was kind of pathetic. I mean, the prosecutor was kind of meandering and, like you said, just trying to trip the guy up on nonsensical things that don't really matter. However, I understand why he's doing this, because that expert's testimony completely undermines the state's case. So he's grasping at straws, but his strategy is sound. You got to do whatever you can to try to stop this guy from getting on the stand, because he's going to unravel everything for them.
And the irony of this, Jennifer, is when I spoke with one of the jurors afterwards, they discounted these experts because they didn't understand where they came from, because the court didn't allow the jury to know that they were hired by the Department of Justice and the FBI to figure this out. So the jurors didn't know where did these witnesses come from. I know there's more to the story, but they're not telling us. This time around, they'll just be able to say they're defense experts, which will actually probably help their credibility, despite the fact that prosecutors think it'll undermine their credibility because they're being paid by the defense all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, I think that Hank Brennan is really trying to make his point that they are for the defense and they are not independent as they would like to portray themselves. And despite what was going on, the judge didn't really seem very annoyed by this questioning. She allowed it. She allowed it to go on. And I thought what was really interesting watching the witness, I mean, I think Hank Brennan was effective in that he was really trying to throw this guy, and if you watched his eyes, he was kind of thinking like, what did I talk to them about? So I think it was an effective strategy. I disagree with my counterparts tonight. I think it was effective because it's getting the witness a bit unnerved, and that's what you want to do. You don't want him to be too comfortable up there stating his opinion. So he's starting to think about, like, was there something? Do they have something on me? You could see it in his eyes.
Yeah,
So.
the big problem I had, though, was like the bulk of his angry moments were when he was not listening to what the witness actually said and mischaracterized it. Like, people have done that to me on the air as well. And I have to,
That was wrong, but people do it. People do it, and it is wrong. I mean, he's asking him questions based on his own supposition as opposed to what the witness actually said.
Yeah, that's the problem I had with it all. All right, great news. Think tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to go through the timeline of John O'Keefe's cell phone activity. It is really
to the Karen Reed trial. As we focus on Karen Reed's drinking, the night John O'Keefe died, was Karen Reed under the influence? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and
was from around 12:24:33 on the evening of January 29, 2022 through at least 6 a.m. and after that morning.
Yes, based on the totality of all of the information that we've described, my opinion is that the device never moved far away from the flagpole.
Okay, if the jury believes that, that's bad news for Karen Reed. That means he never went inside the home. He never went inside 34 Fairview. This is the cell phone, Cellbrite digital forensics examiner who's talking about John O'Keefe's phone. I want you to take a look at, we're going to take a look at the full timeline of the results of his examination of all the data from John O'Keefe's phone. Let's begin at 12:18 up to 12:32 and 16 seconds. Take a look.
So at 18 minutes and 25 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID. We see the SMS application is in use. For around 11 seconds, a phone call is made from John to Jennifer McCabe. A phone call lasts 36 seconds, starting at 18 minutes and 47 seconds. That call ends at 19 minutes and 23 seconds, and the mobile phone application is closed at 19 minutes and 24 seconds. 19 minutes and 29 seconds, the Waze application is loaded on screen. And at 20 minutes and 49 seconds, which is what this location on the side relates to, we see an incoming message from Brian Higgins saying, "You coming here?"
Hey, Allison, founder of Poppy here. We have some huge news.
At 22 minutes and 14 seconds, this is the start of the 3 flight climb events.
Hopefully.
As the device is driving along
Look at this. Look at
Oakdale
him.
Road, I believe that is.
Look at his face.
Out there. I think on the day of
24 minutes and
trial,
26 seconds
I think
is when the
I met
Waze
Mr. Jackson
application
and maybe a
is
couple other
closed,
members of the defense team.
and the device
to prep
is locked
myself and prepare
via the
for
lock
trial.
button at 24 minutes and 28 seconds.
What was that?
At 24 minutes and
guys?
37 seconds, the three flight climb events comes to an end.
What
And at
was
24
that?
minutes and 38 seconds is the first record that shows a speed of 0 meters per second. At 24 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID, and the message, "You coming here," is read at 25 minutes and 8 seconds after midnight. At 25 minutes and 9 seconds after midnight, the device is locked using the lock button. At 27 minutes and 33 seconds after midnight, a text message is received from Jen McCabe saying, "Here." At 27 minutes and 45 seconds after midnight, the device is unlocked using Face ID. And the here message that was just received is read at 27 minutes and 48 seconds. At 27 minutes and 50 seconds, the lock button is pressed by the user, causing the device to lock. At 29 minutes and 37 seconds, we start to get some Doppler checks. And at 29 minutes and 42 seconds, the pocket state cleared event is written. At 29 minutes and 44 seconds, there's an incoming call from Jen McCabe. This is answered and lasts for 7 seconds, ending at 29 minutes and 51 seconds. At 29 minutes and 52 seconds, the device is unlocked, and a second later, the lock button is pressed, causing the device to lock again. 31 minutes and 47 seconds after midnight, a message is received again from Jennifer McCabe saying, "Pull behind me." And at 31 minutes and 52 seconds, the Doppler check records a pocket state. At 31 minutes and 56 seconds, we start the health event that shows 36 steps were taken. And at 32 minutes and 3 seconds, there's a pocket state cleared event. At 32 minutes and 4 seconds, the device unlocks with Face ID. And again, I'll point out that makes perfect sense if the Doppler state clears because it's no longer within a pocket and then it unlocks a second later. That makes sense with the logic that's been identified. At 32 minutes and 5 seconds, messages applications on screen and the message "pull behind me" is read. 32 minutes and 9 seconds, the messages application is closed and the device is locked for the last time. At 32 minutes and 16 seconds, the 36-step health event is ending.
All right, think tank still with us. All right, David Otunga, to me, that's a very, it's presented in a way that makes sense. You can follow it. You're looking at the Apple Health. You're looking at the location, everything else. Is it telling the story well enough for prosecutors?
Going to me?
David.
I think it is until, we see cross-examination on that. But I think it is because it keeps John O'Keefe outside and in one spot. Everything makes sense. It shows basically he's arriving outside. He even gets the text or allegedly a call from Jen McCabe as well. And then there's 36 steps. I don't know, I didn't visit the house, but I don't know if that's enough to reach inside the house. But either way,
it is.
This is the last time his phone is used, and then it's locked for the final time.
Yeah, I think 36 steps, you can get into the house with 36 steps. It's about 65 feet, so you even have a couple in the bank afterwards. Jennifer Brandt, let me ask you, the way this is being presented, much different, much more organized than first time around in this case, and he's putting together the health data, talking about when he's moving, and to me, the 1222 to 1224 climbing the stairs. This is what the defense said was him going down to the basement. And that's where he gets jumped and he gets beaten up and he gets killed in the basement. But they have this happening at 1222 to 1224, which is almost 8 to 10 minutes before the Waze app stops. How much of a problem is that for the defense?
I think it's a big problem because, assuming this is all accurate, and I'm sure we're going to hear some cross-examination, so maybe they're going to attack the accuracy of it. But I find it fascinating. That this could all be retraced. You're almost there, and feeling like this is what's going on from second to second to second, all by cell phone data. And like you said earlier, this is something that the jury is totally going to understand. We all have cell phones and we all know they're sort of tracking our movements, and whatever we're doing with them is all being somewhat recorded. So I think this just hits it all home. And I think the defense, if this is really true, I think the defense is going to have a problem.
And from the beginning, Al, the key data that the defense was leaning on was the flights, the climbing data from the health data saying that he's going up, he's going down, he's going back up. And they were arguing that it's him in the stairs inside the home. But according to the way they've put it together here, they don't get to the house until 12/24/38 after all that information is stopped. And he took it one step further. He took a look at the map and the topography and he was talking meters, so it was kind of like, foreign language to me, but he was talking about how the street went up, the street went down, and the street went up again. They are heading off all the potential defense arguments, which is why tomorrow, like David said, tomorrow's the day. They've got to undermine some of this stuff.
Absolutely. This is the straw that stirs the drink. If everything in this is to be believed, the defense position, the defense argument, the defense, everything that we've heard as to beaten up by the police officers, this, that, the other thing is completely untrue. So unless they're going to get their hands dirty and show that this is some sort of voodoo science that's being applied here, this is the straw that stirs the drink. And this is going to be the thing that will put the crowning, touch on the prosecution's case. It's essential that this get destroyed, because this guy put together a really nice presentation. I understood it, so I know it had to have been done simple and dumbed down considerably. And I understood it completely. And I know the jury understood it. You were so right about the last time. The last time it was very hard to understand this, but this was so spoon-fed and so well developed. This is going to be a tough one. If this goes through, if this stays in, then the prosecution has got a home run.
Now, the defense has their own expert, but David, I think where the attack is going to be, because this expert spent some time talking about the clocks and the way things are time-stamped within our cell phones. And I think the defense is going to attack the timing of this and if you move it 5 minutes one way or the other, it's a completely different picture.
Oh, absolutely. 5 minutes in this case makes a big deal. And I would expect that's what the defense is going to do anyway, because, one of the most important things is how long does it take to die in the cold? When was that? Was that at 6:23 or was that at 2:27? Was it on just because that initial tab? That was the whole thing that really got me. It depends on what iOS version you're using, if you've updated your iPhone or not. Because I thought that was kind of the smoking gun before, but that's a really big deal if it's actually at 6:23 and it's after they found O'Keefe's body. So I imagine they're going to attack, just the validity and the accuracy of the clocks and the timing with Apple and the phone.
Yeah, I generally, a lot of times in these cases, I look at the experts and I say, it's a battle of the experts, blah, blah, blah. One side says this, one side. This one, I think somebody's going to win. Somebody needs to win these battles. That's how this trial gets won, one way or the other. All right, Think Tank staying with us. We're going to continue on the timeline, and we're going to take a look at what happens after 12:32 and 16 seconds when all the health data ends.
When you went over to the storm door and looked out, what, if anything, did you see?
I saw a vehicle.
And can you describe the vehicle that you saw?
I saw a dark SUV.
And as far as Miss Nagel, did you make any observations of where she was when you looked outside?
I kind of just looked at the vehicle, and then I saw lights kind of over to this side. But then once I saw the vehicle, I took out my phone and I texted John.
That's Jennifer McCabe talking about some of the cell phone or some of the text messages she was sending. And John O'Keefe received these. And the expert who went through John O'Keefe's cell phone included those in his timeline, trying to lay out what was going on in those moments when John O'Keefe gets out of Karen Reed's SUV. Let's continue now with more of this timeline, the second part of the timeline, after the health data has stopped for John O'Keefe.
At 33 minutes and 14 seconds, we have the first of the 26,500 Doppler state records that all record pocket state. This is followed by several phone calls at 33 minutes and 35 seconds, 34 minutes and 9 seconds, 34 minutes and 38 seconds, 35 minutes and 9 seconds, 35 minutes and 35 seconds, and 36 minutes and 9 seconds. All calls from Karen. Call were all unanswered, and all resulted in pocket state being detected by Doppler. At 36 minutes and 9 seconds, and again at 36 minutes and 40 seconds, 2 more phone calls received from Karen, again showing unanswered calls and resulting in pocket state being recorded by Doppler function. 37 minutes past midnight, battery temperature has dropped to 72 Fahrenheit. And at 37 minutes and 8 seconds, a further phone call, again unanswered, again resulting in a pocket state recorded by Doppler. 37 minutes and 31 seconds, a 3-second voicemail received from Karen. And at 38 minutes and 21 seconds, another incoming call. And at 38 minutes and 26 seconds, another incoming call, both unanswered, both resulting in Doppler pocket state being detected by Doppler. And I've also showed some of the locations that were recorded at around this time by the device. 40 minutes and 31 seconds, a message received from Jennifer McCabe saying, hello. This is the first iMessage or SMS message received by the device, which is unread. This is followed up 2 minutes later, 42 minutes and 9 seconds, by another message from Jennifer McCabe saying, where are you? And at 42 minutes and 35 seconds, there's a 40-second voicemail received from Karen. 43 minutes past midnight, the battery temperature has now dropped to 66 degrees Fahrenheit. At 45 minutes and 53 seconds, another incoming message from Jennifer McCabe saying hello. And again, we can see location data at 53 minutes and 7 seconds, placing the device on the front yard somewhere, kind of around the flagpole area. 55 minutes and 31 seconds, a message received from Karen stating, I'm going home. 55 minutes and 50 seconds, a follow-up message saying, see you later. Another location data, this is the location that's shown bottom left. And at 2 minutes past 1 a.m., another message from Karen saying, your kids are cooking alone.
Okay, 3 areas I want to hit here. Jennifer Brandt, let's start with this. The Karen Reed, I guess prosecutors are saying she runs him over and then starts calling him.
Yeah, I think that doesn't make a lot of sense, Vinny, because if she ran him over and she knew she hit him, then why would she be calling him? I don't think she was in a state to really calculate that. Sounds like they had some kind of argument. I think that's what they're going to say. And, you know, she drops him at the house and she's calling him. So I don't know if this goes with the theory that, you know, she hit him and then all of a sudden she's calling him. I think the Jen McCabe texts are more troubling because clearly she's asking, where are you? Hello, where are you? That probably is a little bit more troubling for the defense.
Yeah, Al, Jennifer McCabe has been painted as a villain by the defense. It happened in the first case, happened in a lot of the pretrial motions. She is sending these text messages. They're not being returned. 1240, 1242, continuing. What does that mean? What does that mean? If she's in the house texting, has she already started to set up the conspiracy at that moment? Or
and that's it's not. I mean, that's the whole thing. It doesn't come out as being a conspiracy at that point. It seems to me there's a genuine concern as to where he is, and you know that he's not in the house. Obviously, not in the house. And what what Jennifer was saying about the fact that, well, if she hit him, why is she making phone calls to him? Well, how many times have we seen that on cases where an individual has killed somebody and they sent, text messages, where are you, to establish an alibi as, well, it couldn't have been me. I was looking for that person, or I was still, I just assumed that he was in the house, or this, that, the other thing. So, you don't know if that was the reason why she was making those phone calls to him, but it could have very well been to set up an alibi. She's realized that she did something wrong, and she's now panicking.
It's within like a minute or so that the phone calls are starting, which to me is so quick. All right, David O'Tonga, the last thing, and this is new. I don't remember this from the first trial, and it was a big part of the opening statement as well. The temperature of the battery of the phone continues to drop. How could it continue to drop if he goes inside the house like the defense says?
I mean, I don't think that was as big of a thing. I really didn't, because it seemed like it made sense to me. Once he's outside, once the phone is outside, it's going to continue to drop. Because here's the other thing. That Jen McCabe, she texted him, but she also called him like 8 times. I don't know. She called him a number of times, which she then explained away as butt dials. Now, come on. There's just the butt dials. Enough. That in and of itself seems suspicious to me, which almost makes me wonder, maybe she was calling him because she was trying to find his phone. And then when she got it, put it outside, because this could go either way. It depends on how good of a lawyer you are to make the argument. But for Karen Reed, she could be trying to make an alibi by then texting him and calling John O'Keefe right after it. However, Jen McCabe could be doing the same thing. And that's also why she was calling to try to find the phone. Then they got it and put it outside under the body when they put him out there.
All right, I have about 30 seconds total here. I just want to score from today. Jennifer Brandt, 0 to 10, 10 being unbelievable, 0 being horrific. This expert on direct examination, 0 to 10.
I think he was an 8.
An 8. Al Wunsch.
I'm going to go 9 because of the accent that always goes over very well with American audience.
More credibility because of the English accent. Okay, gotcha. David O'Tonga, 0 to 10.
I can't give him a 10. I got to save room, but I'm going to go 9.5. And because of the demonstrative aids, the visual aids were awesome. They really were. Like the cell phone, all that.
And that sets up a huge day tomorrow for cross-examination. Big thank you, Al Wunsch, Jennifer Brandt, David O'Tonga. Great to have you back on the program. Great to see you, my friend.
Great to be back.
All right. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight.
Do they prove? We investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinny Politan with the
I'm done with this interview. Let me out.
Interview with a Killer. New episode.
By a bus on March 24th, said that she was dying in a social media post on March 30th and then released on April 7th. Some folks connected to her want this alleged suicide investigated for obvious reasons. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Right now, I need you to keep an eye on the TV screen because we have a missing child who needs your help. This is Cabria Thompson. Cabria, just 17 years old, missing out of Grand Blanc, Michigan since April 24th. If you see Cabria, please pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911. 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Grand Blanc Township Police Department in Michigan. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Cabria to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime, a deep dive into the Karen Reed investigation. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
All right, so that's what's going on within the Karen Reed case, guys. Again, thank you guys for being here with us today. We're almost through this whole thing. I got some other things I wanted to throw out here. Pretty wild what's going on in that case as well. If you guys hadn't followed it at all, this is the second trial for her, and I don't know, guys. This could go the same way, could go the other way. I guess I don't know. It's up to what you think, I guess. So I don't know what you guys know or followed along with the Jeffrey Epstein situation. Vinny touched on it for a quick second there. I was going to show you this. Just happened.
One of the most prominent accusers.
A couple days ago, she was one of the main accusers in the Epstein situation, meaning she put out one of the main accusations against the whole Epstein situation. For those of you that aren't familiar, has died. So I didn't know if you guys were following this.
One of the most prominent accusers of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has died. Virginia Giuffre dedicated her life trying to get Epstein and his enablers to face justice. NBC's Stephanie Goss has more.
When the scope of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes finally came to light, Virginia Giuffre was the woman at the center of the story, publicly sharing painful details of her own experience. In a statement, her family announcing the 41-year-old mother of 3 took her own life. Giuffre said she was recruited by Epstein's girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 14 years old. According to Giuffre, it was the start of years of sexual abuse by Epstein, Maxwell, and their friends.
It was that constant, we own the police. You can't run. You can't tell anybody. We'll never be held accountable for this.
At age 17, Giuffre said Maxwell and Epstein directed her to have sex multiple times with Prince Andrew, an allegation the prince denied. Giuffre sued, and she settled with the prince in 2022, receiving an undisclosed amount of money. Epstein and Maxwell were both charged with sex trafficking. Epstein took his own life in federal prison before standing trial. Maxwell was convicted and given a 20-year sentence. In one of her last social media posts earlier this month, Giuffre said she was hospitalized after a car accident and was gravely injured, posting a disturbing photo. But days later, she was released. The family says they are heartbroken, writing Giuffre was heroic and will always be remembered for her incredible courage and loving spirit. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Our thanks to Steph for that one. If you or someone you know needs help, reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by calling or texting 988 or go online at 988lifeline.org.
Now, me personally, do I believe she took her own life? Not really. Considering who she is and the things that were going on in her life, I don't know, you guys. There's a statement that her brother put out. Hang on here. I'll show it to you guys here in a minute. I don't believe she did. That's just me though. Considering what is known about her and the things that were going on, I question it. I'll put it that way for sure.
More information is coming to light about Virginia Giuffre's final months. The 41-year-old, who was one of the women who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of alleged sexual abuse, died last week by suicide. Her family confirmed her passing in a statement to NBC News on April 25th, but wouldn't go into more detail about her shocking death. Quote, "We are still processing everything," her sister-in-law Amanda Roberts told People magazine on April 26th. However, leading up to her death, her family claimed to the outlet that Giuffre was prevented from seeing her children. Quote, "It's the worst pain in the world to not have access to your children," her brother Sky Roberts told People in an interview on April 3rd. "Can you imagine the pain? I will tell you, all of the physical pain will never amount to the pain of being separated from your children in that way." Roberts is seemingly referring to a family restraining order that Giuffre's estranged husband Robert Giuffre reportedly filed. She allegedly violated that restraining order in February, according to multiple outlets, but she denied the claim. A rep for her told E! Online on April 2nd, quote, "Virginia looks forward to defending herself against his malicious claim." Although it's unclear what led her estranged husband to reportedly file a restraining order, People reported that she first appeared in court on March 19th for allegedly breaching the order and didn't enter a plea. Prior to the death, she alleged her ex physically abused her. They separated in 2023. Access Hollywood has reached out to her husband for comment. He has not publicly spoken out regarding the alleged abuse claims. His attorney previously spoke out to People and issued a statement that reads, quote, "Unfortunately, as the issues you raise are before the courts in Australia, both he and anyone associated with the case, including Ms. Giuffre or her agents, are prohibited from discussing or utilizing the media. Therefore, there is no comment." Giuffre's family announced her passing on April 25th with a statement to NBC News. Quote, "It is with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia," her family said in a statement to NBC News, adding, quote, "She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. She was the light that lifted so many survivors. In the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight. Giuffre was one of the most prominent accusers of Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell for allegedly sex trafficking underage girls. She provided critical information to law enforcement that led to both of their convictions per NBC News. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence for recruiting and grooming teenage girls to be sexually abused by Epstein, per NBC News. Epstein was arrested on federal sex trafficking and conspiracy charges in 2019 and was found dead in his cell in Manhattan. His death was ruled a suicide. Giuffre also previously accused Prince Andrew of alleged sexual abuse when she was a minor, which he has denied. The royal settled a lawsuit brought on by Giuffre in 2022. He agreed to make a, quote, substantial donation to Miss Giuffre's charity in support of victims' rights. News of her passing comes nearly a month after she claimed on Instagram that she had 4 days to live after she was allegedly hit by a school bus driver. Australian police later released information about a minor crash between a bus and car that appeared to be connected to her. The Western Australia Police confirmed to People magazine that there was a minor crash on March 24th outside of Perth, but wouldn't confirm to the outlet if the crash was connected to Virginia. Authorities also told the outlet that there were no reported injuries and no one was taken to the hospital. Quote, the collision was reported by the bus driver the following day. The car sustained approximately $2,000 worth of damages, police said in a statement obtained by People. News.com Australia also reported that during a press conference on April 1st, the acting police commissioner Kylie Whiteley confirmed that a 71-year-old woman was behind the wheel and a 41-year-old woman was the passenger of the car that was involved in the bus collision. Virginia's family released a statement to Access Hollywood on April 1st with an update on her condition, writing, quote, Virginia thanks everyone for the outpouring of love and support. She is overwhelmed with gratitude. Today, she remains in serious condition while receiving medical care. The statement also broke down what Virginia claims happened, writing, quote, on March 24th in rural West Australia, a school bus hit the car in which she was riding. The police were called, but said that there was no one available to come to the scene. They asked if anyone was injured and suggested that if they were, they should make their way to the hospital. The school bus driver had a bus full of distraught children and left the scene to get them back, saying he would file a police report, which he did later. Virginia was banged up and bruised and returned home. Virginia's condition worsened and she was admitted to the hospital. Concerning her Instagram post, Virginia thought she had posted it on her private Facebook page. Virginia and her family thank everyone for their concern. The update comes days after Virginia, who is known for accusing Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of alleged abuse, claimed she had 4 days to live after she was reportedly hit by a school bus driver. She shared a photo of herself in what appears to be a hospital covered in bruises on Instagram, writing, quote, this year has been the worst start to a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. In her Instagram post, she also gave an update on her condition, writing, quote, I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes. In one hand and wish in the other, and I guarantee it's going to be at the end of the day. She ended her post by expressing her gratitude to her supporters, writing, quote, thank you all for being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all, Virginia.
That's really sad. Really, really sad. And I feel like there's more to that than what they're putting out there for obvious reasons. Obvious reasons. Hopefully that maybe the truth will come on that one. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I hope. All I can do is hope. All right, guys. Now we're coming to the positive segment where we look at Good Samaritan and positivity. Just to keep our heads afloat in the positive side of the world. We have a minute here to get this up. Hang on. This is a hell of a story here. Definitely a positive outlook on some things. Mojo, what's up? Good to see.
And back in April 2022, the defendant had crashed his car into the center median. He drove it on purpose into the center median on the 8 freeway near the Mission Gorge exit. And Officer Pacheco was just on patrol. He wasn't trying to initiate a traffic stop. He wasn't doing anything other than just driving in the area when he saw the car on the side of the road with its hazards on. Pulled over to see if anybody needed help, to see if anybody was hurt. When he got there, the defendant was already out of the car, standing in front of his car. So Officer Pacheco walked up and just to see if he was okay, asking if he needed any help and to find out what happened in the collision. And when he got there, he first noticed that the defendant just kind of had, the way he described it was like a 1,000-yard stare, almost like a vacant stare, without warning, without any sort of provocation, just immediately tried to take Officer Pacheco's firearm. The defendant was able to get his finger on the trigger and actually shot Officer Pacheco in the leg. The two of them went to the ground, and Officer Pacheco was bleeding pretty profusely, and just again trying to literally fight for his life. He was trying to keep the gun under control. He was trying to fight off the defendant at the same time. A group of people saw what was going on, saw an officer who needed help, and stopped in the middle of the freeway. And it started, with one car just stopping and got out and tackled the defendant off of the officer.
So I parked immediately at one. The officer was literally on the floor holding the suspect, and you can see asking him, hitting, I guess, his hand, let it go, because one hand was holding both of them the firearm. He let it go while I was grabbing him from his shirt. I looked at the floor immediately. There was massive blood.
I parked as soon as I could, and I got out of the car, and I took out my knife. He was trying to, from my perspective, trying to reach for the gun again, and then I pulled him down, and I told him, I have a knife, don't move.
There, but for the grace of God, kind of coincidence, an off-duty nurse was driving by in his motorcycle.
On my way to work, I work at Sharp Grossmont Hospital, and on the way I hit some immediate traffic, and upon lane splitting, I saw a car crash into the center divide. In front of the car, there was kind of a scuffle, a group of people, and an officer laying on the ground. At that point, I kind of just pulled over and went up to see what was going on.
Traffic is just starting to slow down a little bit, and traffic just kind of stops. Again, I'm in the passenger. I look over as I see somebody get out of the truck, and I immediately tell my husband, I got to go. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I got to go. There's somebody who needs help. There was a nurse that was applying pressure to his leg. And at that point, I'm like, we need a tourniquet. I reach down, I grab a backpack, and I look, and I'm like, does anybody have a knife? And the nurse reaches in his pocket and pulls out shears and hands them to me about the time I realize it's his backpack. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to cut the strap off your backpack. And pardon the language, he was like, can cut it.
And immediately his training kicked in, and he started applying a tourniquet, like a makeshift tourniquet. Obviously, he didn't have one with him.
And someone came and helped me cut up my backpack, essentially make a tourniquet out of my straps. We applied the first tourniquet. It was really hard to hold pressure and stop the bleeding. You could still see he was bleeding relatively profusely. Luckily, he was still coherent enough. I was able to ask him. I was like, hey, does your belt separate from all your different things on your belt strap? And he goes, yes. So I had another gentleman help me at the time, and we removed the belt and placed that as a double tourniquet.
Hey, we have a tourniquet on? Okay, good. All right.
While they were helping him, I was, of course, with 911.
We need the officer. There is an officer down.
Okay.
Officer down.
Where? Are you on the freeway?
Yes.
He was getting kind of loopy in and out, and there was a lot of blood around the area.
His face color is changing. So the only way I can keep him is to literally scream at him. I have to scream at him so I can make him look at me if he likes it or not. Or else I don't want him to close his eyes.
And at that point, all I heard was just background noise of what was going on. And really, my focus was holding him down. I had just had a shoulder surgery 2 weeks before, so I was also trying to not, drop the knife and hold him down.
I sit down and I think I grabbed somebody's coat or whatever, and I'm just kind of cradling his head. And he's like, I need to call my wife. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea, right? Like, what are you going to tell her? He's like, no, I need to call my wife.
So he asked me, because he couldn't reach, to his pocket. I don't remember. I don't recall if it was on the left or right pocket. His phone was there. So I just opened the button and I took his phone. He dialed it and I was holding it. He was talking to his wife. That he told her that I was shot. He's okay. He loved her. So he said beautiful things. And that's when he's done. He put his head down and I hung up. I didn't want to talk to her because I just didn't want to scare her.
So we're sitting there, maybe a minute goes by, ambulance pulls up, I walk over, and basically the lead guy that hops out of the ambulance, I'm like, how can we help? And he says, well, if you can move him to the wall, we'll take it from there. I'm like, no problem. So we walk back over, and at this point, I think there's 4 of us around him kind of helping him. And I said, we need to move him to the wall. And all 4 of us pick him up, and we put him on the center divide, and within a flash, he was gone. Like, ambulance, just gone.
It was a pretty miraculous turn of events that all of these people, starting with, kind of that first one, Mr. Yusuf, stopping and getting the ball rolling.
I'm blessed to help someone's life. If this happens again, I will do it again.
Every single one of them just looked at the situation and did what needed to be done.
We're all just humans, no matter where you come from, what country, what color, what religion, that we all just need to help each other out.
They went unknowing about how this was going to go. They don't know the defendant. They don't know his background. They don't know if he's a good fighter, a bad fighter. All they know is he is willing to fight an armed individual and try to kill them in broad daylight. And they still stopped.
It's nice to be honored, but it's, I don't think anybody sets out into a situation like that going, ooh, I'm going to get an award or recognition.
In the end, it was a good outcome, and everyone was safe, which is nice.
We all see it in the movies, and you'd like to think that you're that person who's going to run into the burning building or run up to the situation and defend them. But when push comes to shove, it's really hard to do that. And I mean, tons of cars kept driving, and for whatever reason, I don't fault any of them, but these people stopped and they saved his life.
Awesome story. Give me 1 second here. I got a couple of these for you guys today. Like I said, trying to keep some positivity flowing since we have so much negativity out there, to show you guys and others that there are still good people out there, and I have so much hope for humanity.
He was arrested on April 18th of this year for beating me and trying to kill me, and I've been in a CPS case with him ever since. My mother is the custody of the children, and we've had 4 warnings about this.
Since we've been on the call, has he texted you or tried calling you at all?
Not since I've been on the call. I tried to call him, and he's not answering, and I don't know what to do.
As their mother, Jenna, was at home asleep, not knowing what was going on, woke up in the middle of the night what I like to call mother's intuition.
Woke up dead out of my sleep 2:30 in the morning because I heard my daughter scream.
At that point in time, she jumped into action. She did what she knew was best.
Just having this super gut feeling it wasn't right, hearing my daughter scream, knowing that she wasn't with me, I could just feel something was really terrible. I got in my car and I proceeded to drive down to Imperial Beach. As I got to the residence, I noticed that the light was on in the room where the children were staying. I then drove to our old residence to find that his truck was not parked at the residence. And then it became very concerning to me. Where was he and why was my kid's lights on? I was then issued a text message from my ex-husband of a picture of my daughter sitting in the front seat with no seatbelt, no car seats. It was the most horrific text message I've ever received.
She received messages, missed calls from the defendant. One of those messages read, "I told you, the girls are going to heaven and I'm going to hell to wait for you."
I then knew it was up to me to make the next step to save my kids.
Can somebody get to the Coronado Bridge? I'm terrified for my children's life. He said he was in Poway, and then all of a sudden he changed it, and he said, I'm going off the Coronado Bridge. I'm not going to stay alive. These girls don't deserve this. He's talking about suicide.
It was so terrifying not being able to do anything and being so helpless.
I left.
Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Content may include sensitive or violent content not suitable for all viewers. Feel free to step out if needed.
Just in case, but this has a happy ending to it, just so everybody knows. But some of this could trigger and upset somebody.
I'm going to search for my daughters.
Jenna, I let the deputies know that you were on your way to the Delaware Street address. That's where they're going as well, okay? And we're
I can't wait there. I can't wait there. I'm going to the Coronado Bridge. I can't wait there.
I remember going like 120 miles an hour down the Coronado Strip. Just begging and pleading with the officers, please ping his phone. He keeps calling me.
At this point in time, all local law enforcement agencies are working together and trying to track this individual down. We do know that law enforcement was successful in being able to ping his cell phone, to which there was locations at in the La Jolla area. That broadcast was put out for dispatch, at which point in time there happened to be a lieutenant in an unmarked vehicle in the area. He was within 2 blocks of the vehicle to which he believed to be the defendant's truck.
I was pleading for their lives. And then all of a sudden the phone hung up and it was silent.
Despite Jenna's best efforts, doing everything she could, pleading with him, trying to talk him down, notifying multiple law enforcement agencies, even trying to find him and her daughters herself. That threat turned into a reality when the defendant shocked the world by driving his truck off Sunset Cliffs with his twin 2-year-old daughters trapped inside the vehicle. At that point in time, Lieutenant Batista immediately radios in what he just saw. And thankfully, within the area also was Officer Jonathan Weiss, who literally arrived on scene as Lieutenant Batista pulled up to Sunset Cliffs. Those 2 officers immediately radioed out, at which point in time, further SDPD arrived on scene. I truly believe that if Jenna would not have done what she had done, which is locate and try and track down multiple law enforcement agencies, those agencies would not have been able to work together and may have not been on scene at the time that this truck drove off the cliff. Officer Jonathan Weiss creatively thought and used a 100-foot dog leash that he just happened to have in his vehicle as a canine officer, and with no other way to rescue those girls, used it along with other officers to literally tie it around his waist and jump off Sunset Cliffs. It's dark out, the sun hadn't come up yet, officers couldn't see what was going on down in the water, and he jumped into that cold, freezing water to rescue these girls and the defendant.
Come here.
And that's the thing, you guys. He saved the guy too. All three of them. Okay. This is an amazing story to me. I love this one.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's get you going.
Robert Bryans was sentenced to 31 years in prison as part of a plea deal. He, the girl's mother, and the judge all agreed they were lucky Haley and Aubrey survived.
I stand here today, not just as a mother, but as a testament to resilience.
Jenna Bryans wept as she told the judge how grateful she is that her girls are alive. 4 years after he drove their daughters off Sunset Cliffs, she says the sentencing of Robert Bryans was a victory.
It's nice to finally have closure today, not just for myself, but for my daughters most of all, to know that their dad is taking responsibility for the horrific acts that he made that day and the choices that he's made.
In court, Robert Bryans said, quote, "I love my babies and I'm sorry," as he was sentenced to 31 years in state prison. He pleaded guilty last month to a long list of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of kidnapping.
Jenna deserves to be awarded for her courage, strength, and literally unwavering love for her daughters. Seeing her in June of 2020 and where she was at in her life and the circumstances under which she was struggling to where she is now is completely what you want to see happen when you encounter people in the community in my position on most likely the worst day of their lives.
I feel very honored, and I feel just so blessed that I could be my daughter's hero.
She beautifully balanced being a mother and a victim, a critical witness, which is extremely difficult to do.
My daughters are thriving. I mean, it is just a miracle. I get to watch them swim. I get to watch them go back into the ocean and not be scared. They've learned to rise above their trauma and to not let them stand in it, but to rise above it. And I'm just so proud, so proud.
All right. There's some good stories for the day, some amazing stories per se, I guess you could say, with Good Samaritan situations and positivity and positive outcomes to horrible situations and things like that I do believe is needs to be seen a lot more than it is. Let's see if we can get a couple laughs in and get our butts out of here and jump into the other situation we're doing this afternoon. One moment here. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, guys. Let's see here.
And she's not eating. I guess she's really tired.
Take your pictures and moving. A movie. A new movie. I am. Please.
You okay,
Okay, what do you say?
I know to evaluate your again.
Now turn around. Keep going. Keep turning.
Oh, buddy, what did you do?
Say I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're at McDonald's. Who wants to go to McDonald's? Ice cream.
Yep, just like that. Put it in your mouth.
Put the whole thing in there. Yep.
Peekaboo.
So Gianna, what happened to your hair? I cut it and it don't get in my face.
Your hair was in your face?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you cut your hair?
Because some don't get in my face.
Can I see your hair, please?
Dad, you want to go see what toys they have in the family room?
Yeah.
Let's go check it out. Right down the hall. Let's see what toys.
Is this recording?
Baby kids.
What's going on?
What's it? Good girl.
Go good, baby.
Santa Claus.
Oh,
Did a great job doing what?
doing things.
What did you do to your hair? Can you tell everyone what you did to your hair?
Oh.
Look at the camera.
Head on.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Batman.
What's that?
Who's that?
Superman.
That dude just lost his teeth. I don't know if y'all saw that, but that was his teeth. Watch.
Kisses for Tigger. Oh, Tigger.
You have to make a wish.
I'm in war.
No.
Just make a wish.
Make a
I
wish.
think the only thing
Make a wish. Where do you think it's
Mondo.
Hey, baby. What are you doing? Oh.
What does she have? Hey,
Charlie, what happened?
what's up? I just didn't do something. Just got please. So
What did you do?
I'm trying to make it perfect.
You were trying to make your hair perfect?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I was.
No, that's Jalen's. You're not supposed to touch Jalen's.
And I
What are you doing? Oh, wow, way.
Mom, that's really okay.
It's not okay. Why did you do that?
The truth is, my head was getting really hot.
Oh, Max, now we're going to have to shave it off.
All right.
Yummy, yummy.
Wait it.
Face?
Wait it
Let
out.
It kick in.
Wait it.
There
There it is. What'd you do?
Cut my hair off.
Why'd you cut your hair?
Because I don't want to be like that.
You don't want it to be like that? Do you like how you cut your hair?
So the surprise is that me and Matt found out what we're having today, what the baby is.
What is it?
What do you guys want, a brother or sister?
I want a dinosaur.
You try to do your hair?
I tried to do my hair, but it's stuck.
It's stuck.
Dylan,
Huh?
I'm Batman.
No, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
No, I'm Batman.
Say it like that. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
No, I'm Batman.
Come on, say
You're
it.
Robin.
Every time I tell him he uses button muscles, he does.
Whoa!
Can I vacuum?
No, okay. You can vacuum.
I can. Are you sure?
Sure.
I don't want to scare you.
One second.
All right, guys. Right on point. That's going to do it for the morning show today. Appreciate you guys joining us today. I hope you got something out of the show. And I'm going to be shutting this down. And it's 2:44. So probably we'll be right back up at least by 3:15. And on to the second show we go. Appreciate you guys for joining us today. Moderators, everything absolutely amazing as always. Thank you guys so very much. Thank you for everything you do, I was trying to say. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us and supporting the channel. If anybody happened to support the channel by donating, I see you, Hazel. Anyway, and guys, don't forget to love yourselves, love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I will see you guys here very shortly. Have a great one, folks, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Life's a journey, let's make every moment shine. Together we share, our hearts so intertwined. Each time you tune in, we're dancing in sync. With every story told, just let your soul think. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. Life's a journey, let's make every moment shine. Together we share, our hearts so intertwined. Each time you tune in, we're dancing in sync. With every story told, just let your soul think. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. So hit that subscribe.